Hi, I'm Lucinda Laughlin. Welcome to Auburn Community Television and this episode of Meet the Artist. Meet the Artist is supported by the North Auburn Artists to introduce artists in our local community. Today, our guest local artist is Rebecca Martinez. Rebecca works with polymer clay and specializes in making jewelry. What's not to love about that? Rebecca, I'm so glad that you could join us.
Thank you, Lucinda. It's really nice to be here.
You know, I love talking about jewelry, and I am really particularly interested in how you take polymer clay and create some of these beautiful pieces that you've created. So let's start in about polymer clay.
Okay, thanks.
What exactly, now you've brought some examples of polymer clay, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about what it is.
Sure. I have brought some uncured pieces of polymer clay. And polymer clay is actually plastic clay, and before it's cured, it's very soft and malleable. It comes in many different colors, but of course the colors can be blended, which is what I love about the clay.
Now you had told me before that this is actually pretty hard to work with.
It can be hard to work with. The most popular brand, Fimo, was created, I believe, in the 1950s as a child's artistic tool. And it was actually too hard for children's little hands to manipulate. So it kind of fell out of popularity for a little while. But adults discovered it, or maybe it was even those same kids when they grew up, who knows, and discovered that it's a fantastic medium. It's so colorful for experimenting with color combinations, texture, and it has gained popularity gradually over the years, and now it's quite popular. There are many brands, including Fimo, Primo, Sculpey, Pardo clay.
So now how did you get into polymer clay?
I was taking a quilting workshop in before the year 2000, and on a whim I took a class from polymer clay artist Dale Doroshow. At the end of the day, my hands were very sore from kneading and conditioning the clay, but I fell in love with it and I've been hooked ever since.
Well, can you take us through the steps of working with the polymer clay?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, the clay comes in basic colors. Your hands are your very best tools for using the clay. And another essential tool that many people swear by is the pasta machine. And the pasta machine, actually once the clay has been conditioned, the clay can be run through the pasta machine. I'm going to run this piece through right now. And let's get it a little bit thinner. And that gives you a nice sheet of clay that you can work with.
So this is much like making pasta. Mm-hmm. This actually determines how thickness it's going to be. Now you had said that this had been conditioned. What is the conditioning process? Is that the working with?
Right, yeah, the clay can be quite hard when it comes out of the package, and just by massaging it, rolling it into a snake shape, running it through the pasta machine, it becomes very soft and pliable and ready to use. By the way, this pasta machine has never touched real pasta.
It's dedicated to polymer clay.
I have 3 of them, yeah.
Okay. Well then, so after you've done that process, what's the next step in it?
Well, it depends on what you're going to make out of the clay. For some of the pieces, like the river rocks, I might, this is what I actually usually do with my scraps. And I just take them and roll them into a ball, and I'll drill holes in these. They can be used as buttons or as jewelry. Or should we talk about the Millefiori process?
Let's wait until we talk about to the Millefiori.
Okay.
All right, but what about a heating process? Because you don't use a kiln.
Yes, thank you for reminding me.
How do we go through that process?
So the clay is hardened in a little toaster oven, and it's just baked at 275. For 20 minutes.
So you don't have to invest in a big kiln to do this?
No.
That's actually wonderful.
It is wonderful.
So just about anybody could get into this?
Anybody could get into it, yeah.
That's absolutely incredible. So then these are your river stones, and I can see that it looks like you've got a couple of colors that you've used in this. Mm-hmm. So do you roll up the clays together and then put them in the baking process?
Yes.
And so about how long do they have to go through the baking process?
About 20 minutes.
And then after that, is that a curing of it?
That's the curing, yes, thank you.
And do you have to do it a second time, or is that the only cure that you do?
Right there.
Now, you had also mentioned that sometimes you make buttons out of them. Do you drill the holes before you do the curing process?
The holes can be punched before the curing process, or they can be drilled after the curing process. The clay is very easy to drill with a Dremel or even a hand drill. So this would be an example of one that I punched the holes before it was baked.
Now, you also have some designs that you've put on that. Is that also done prior to the baking process?
Yes, everything is done prior to the baking process.
Well, you have so many different examples of what you've done here. This is absolutely amazing. So then let's go on to the next stones that you actually create, because what I love about this is polymer clay, but you actually turn them into something that looks like actual stones. So these stones, are these the ones where you embrace your inner goddess?
Yes, they are.
So tell me about that inner goddess.
So one of the things I love about polymer clay is the fact that when I'm creating the pieces, the rocks, or as I call these, the power coins, I'm actually blending material into the clay. I have blended ochre from Roussillon, France, where they mine the ochre. I've blended sand, anything, and the clay then holds on to that power.
And so that's where you bring the goddess into the beautiful work that you do. They're absolutely beautiful. And I can see where people would look at these and go, are these actually stones?
They do, yeah. And then when they pick them up, they're real light, which makes them easy to wear.
Yeah, that's because sometimes the jewelry becomes so heavy, but that is really a nice quality about these. Now this next is something that looks so incredibly natural. And you were telling me that, so this is one you have actually put holes in to be used as a button.
And this one also, this is translucent clay, and it incorporates some foil, and it ends up giving it kind of a jade look. I put small holes in here, but if somebody wanted to use this and required bigger holes, it would be easy to make the holes bigger.
Now, I understand that you not only make this in order to create your own jewelry, but other people come and they will buy this.
Yeah.
And these are sometimes a common embellishment on the, I had to get this right, Nuno felting that a lot of our local artists do. So there are pieces of you on other people's work.
I love that.
That is absolutely wonderful.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. All right, so then let's go and talk about, and I know I'm going to butcher this, and I've tried to practice. Millefiori. Millefiori, which is another process of using the polymer clay.
Right.
And I'm going to first show is just what you end up with, which are these here, where you can see these very intricate designs in here, and you're actually going to tell us a little bit more detail about how you go about creating these.
Okay, so the Millefiori is based on the glass technique by the same name. This is sort of, I would almost call it faux Millefiori, because the real one involves glass. But basically, if you think of a jelly roll and how you would create a jelly roll and you slice it up and you get the same design out of each slice, that's how this works. And you can see that this piece is actually a conglomerate of these other pieces that were put together before they were baked and then sliced. And I'm going to sort of help you visualize how that would work. And we're going to talk about how I made this bead. I don't know if you can see that or not.
It's very, very intricate, isn't it?
And I was kind of thinking of pumpkins and harvest when I thought of these colors. But, and I'm hoping that this is sort of clear. If it's not, you'll just have to come to my studio and see how I do it.
Well, I think that they're going to have to anyway.
So you would take the pieces of clay and sandwich them together. And if I was to take a slice of this, it would look something like this. So I took a couple of those slices. No, actually first I squeezed this out and made it smaller so that it was only this big. Then I took those pieces, I cut it in half, and I put them together to make this. This is a slice of that. And then eventually I squeezed it on down, wrapped it in gold, and it became this. And when I slice this, I'll get these.
And then this goes through that baking process.
This goes through the baking process, yeah.
So when you're doing these, we're talking about a lot of different, very thin pieces of polymer clay that you have actually worked into a design prior to then slicing them and baking them.
Yeah.
I love these. I bet these make absolutely gorgeous buttons.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah.
You know, I have an aunt who is Norwegian, and she makes these incredible wool sweaters, and these would just be absolutely perfect on that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Well, now, once you've done this process, you can make jewelry out of it, or you can also make bowls. And you've brought an example of one of the bowls that you make. And this has all different types of working with the polymer clay. So if you could explain what's going on in this bowl and the processes that you went through to make this.
So this bowl is made completely out of polymer clay. These are some Millefiori canes that I've sliced and done sort of a collage, sort of a quilter-like collage. This whole thing was made over a big seed pod, was shaped over a seed pod, and I tapped these all together. Before I put these on, I stamped the clay with silver ink, and I stuck the whole thing together with these layers of clay that I had layered in stripes and sliced. Whole thing was baked and trimmed off the edges. It's not a bowl that you can eat your cereal out of. It's just for looks.
It'd be for like when I take my earrings off and I need to have some place to put them.
So.
Now, when you're doing this process, is there a rolling out process in this that you do before you shape it? So you've put all of these different types of work and layers, and then you roll it. And
no, I roll it and then I put it over, yes.
Oh, and then you put it over and create this. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Now my favorite part. We're going to talk about the jewelry.
Okay.
And let's really quickly, because we don't have a lot of time, and the jewelry is absolutely the stuff I want to talk about. So these are taking your river stones.
And these are, I'm calling these power coins because...
Oh, your power coins.
Yes, but they're like a variation of the river rock.
And you have joined them together in this absolutely gorgeous necklace. I love this. And you've brought another piece that shows how you can actually layer the necklaces. And you not only make the jewelry out of the polymer clay that you work with, but you've done some trading with other artists, and that's how you created this other necklace.
Yeah, the bone or tooth pendant was a trade from another artist at a trade show, which is fun, really fun.
That does sound like a lot of fun. And you could get to know so many artists and also the mediums that they work in.
I love the collaboration too.
And your stuff would be so wonderful to share. Absolutely gorgeous work. Now tell me a little bit about what this necklace, because this looks like a great deal is going on here, and it's different types of stone, and what beautiful vibrant colors.
Well, I love stones, and I love, of course, to buy stones as much as I can afford. And I like using them with my own beads. I think they enhance each other. This piece features a vintage brass bead, and it includes moonstone, turquoise, a couple of different kinds of stones, some little Murano glass beads up here. And one of the fun things about this necklace is these little tiny Sputnik beads that I've made. These little dots actually glow in the dark, so they're pretty fun.
That's exciting, and also I love it because, again, very lightweight.
Very lightweight, yeah.
And we don't have a lot of time, but I do want to show the hat that you make, because she makes things not only for women, but for men, too.
I'm just going to, can I put it on?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
So what she has done here is with your
power coins,
has put that around the brim, and it really creates a unique hat for a guy, or I think even for a woman.
Oh yeah, either one. I would wear it.
Well, why don't you tell everybody how they can get in contact with you?
Okay.
Where you are on the Placer Art Studio tours as well.
Okay. My name is Rebecca Martinez, and you can see more of my work and my creative process at artsanova.com. I am number 18 Ear E, I believe, on the Studios tour, and I'll be showing at 808 Lincoln Way, which is the General Gomez Arts and Event Center.
Well, Rebecca, I thank you so very much for joining us. It has really been interesting learning about this polymer clay process and the beautiful jewelry that you have created.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for tuning in to Auburn Community Television and this episode of Meet the Artist. One of the things about Meet the Artist, it not only introduces the artist, but it also introduces new mediums. And one of the things that Rebecca has shown us, it is not the medium that makes the artist, it is the artist that makes the medium.